Victoria, none of that's going to change. You'll still continue to do your listings, agreements and contracts and everything of that nature. And all of that's still in ZipForms. How you write your contracts and listings, none of that's changing. It's just how you submit them once you are fully either ratified or you have an executed listing agreement.
Okay. All right. So we'll have to go back and we'll have to go back into the ZipForms once it's all completed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you'll tell us how to do that today.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen again. Let me get ZipForms up. Oh, it timed out on me. Is there anyone on here that doesn't use ZipForms on a regular basis?
Me,
Who is me?
Randy C-Rate.
Oh, hey, Randy, how you doing?
Fine. How about you?
Not too bad, thanks. So when I say that, when you write a listing or a contract, do you do it in ZipForms or are you handwriting?
I print them off and then handwrite them.
Okay.
Print them off from ZipForms.
So Stacy, you'll probably have to get with him because anything, let's just go ahead and talk about that now. If any of you guys currently have any documents that you have printed off and saved, you should probably just go ahead and trash those because it is going to be a requirement that you guys use the templates that are set up, the global templates for your transactions. So that way we can ensure 100% that you have the most current up-to-date forms. By using those templates, you're guaranteed to have those. Tabitha and her team, when you submit the documents, and if you have something that is outdated, it will be rejected. Steve has given them very explicit instructions that he wants to make sure that you guys are using the most current up-to-date forms. So I highly recommend if you have something downloaded on your computer or saved elsewhere or printed off copies that you go ahead and get rid of those and make sure you're using the templates within ZipForms so you have the current forms. Okay. Randy, but you know how to do it. You know how to create a
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I go in and print off the blank forms.
You go in and print them off. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that still can be done. Just make sure you're using the global templates when you print them off and when you create the transaction. So you know you're having the most current up-to-date forms because you're going to have to come back into ZipForms to upload those documents back in there. The dashboard you will not use the dashboard for anything new. So with that being said, we're bringing that up, the dashboard, any transactions or contracts that you currently have in the dashboard, you will finish out in the dashboard. Anything new starting tomorrow morning, you need to initiate everything within ZipForms and submit through there. Did I say that right, Tabitha? Did I?
Yes, you're correct.
Anything existing, whether it be a listing, if you have a listing or a contract, you will finish it out within the dashboard. You will have the ability to do that. You will not have the access after today, starting tomorrow morning, to add anything new, any new transactions within there. Okay?
But
Somebody have a question?
what do you mean will not have the ability to add any new?
Everything will be done within ZipForms.
Yes.
All your documents in there. The dashboard, you won't be able to go and upload if you have a new contract. You'll submit ZipForms.
But you can still upload to what you've already have.
Yeah, anything that's existing. So if you have an existing listing out there or you have an existing contract that you're waiting to close on, you will finish it out in the dashboard and upload your documents accordingly in the dashboard.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, what do you do when you get an offer on your listing that you would normally goes to contract, and then you normally would offload that up into the dashboard and carry that through? I mean, you're not using ZipForms. We never initiated it in ZipForms. It's an offer coming in.
Yeah, if it's one of your current listings and you get a contract in on your current listing that's already in the dashboard, you would finish it out in the dashboard.
Okay, what if it's a listing that comes in tomorrow, goes under contract in 3 days? It's coming from Century 21. What do you do with that? You know, and typically we would just upload that contract into the dashboard.
Are you referring to a current listing that you have?
Well, a current listing that I might have or one that I'm putting on tomorrow, doesn't matter. It's a listing. It goes under contract under Century 21 paper. What do you do with it?
Well, it
Sherry, can I just interject real
you
quick?
sure can.
I think that if you let her actually go through the training, some of these questions will kind of be answered after she's finished and it will make more sense. I kind of think we're getting ahead of what she's explaining. Sherry, what do you think?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, like I said, anything that you have now that's currently an active listing, or you have something under contract that's already in the dashboard, that's where you will finish it out. If you're going tomorrow to sign or get a new listing agreement tomorrow, it should be submitted and created within ZipForms. Same thing with a contract. If you get a new contract, it should be done within ZipForms. But like Tabitha said, we'll walk through it. So the first thing I'm going to do, as we mentioned, how you create your transactions and write your offers and listings, none of that's going to change. So I'm just going to do a new listing. Name it the property address. My client's name. Going to residential. Here's where the very important part that you need to make sure.
Oh, there it is. Drop down.
Yeah, where it says select a template. You want to make sure you're using the correct template, as I said, or otherwise Tabitha and her team will reject if you're not using the most current up-to-date forms. So there's going to be 4 different templates for you to choose from each state. You have seller residential, you have seller land, and then you have buyer land and seller land. Oops, did I say that? I think I said that wrong. You have residential buyer, seller, land buyer, seller. So it'll be the state name, buyer, seller, and then if it's residential or land. In Virginia, you can see there's VAR and VR. Now, keep in mind, if you will not have access to these forms if you are not a member of the local board to have access through ZipForms. So I'm doing a West Virginia seller residential. So all this part still stays the same. So I'm going to hit save, create my transaction. Wait for it to load. So since I'm doing the Record Connect, it's asking me to verify what's the correct name of the buyer, or the seller. So as you can see, since I did the Record Connect, it brought in all the information about the property. I don't know how many of you use this, but we need to start using this on a regular basis, filling out this summary page. It is a requirement that you fill it out. So make sure you have all the pertinent information filled out. You would just go section by section. As here's the property summary. All this pretty much populated because I did the Record Connect. And then we're going to do list summary.
Sherry, back up and show me where that Record Connect was. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Here, the Record Connect. You can either do it, if you didn't do it at the beginning, here, I'll do another one real quick. Here, let me
Sorry,
that's okay. Wait for it. So I'm not going to actually do it, but I'll show you. You name your transaction.
Mhm.
Wait until that. See this right here?
Yeah,
So Record Connect. Just click on that
gotcha.
and then import. And if you forget to do it there, you can still go back into your transaction. When you're in the transaction, you can do it within there as well.
And that's actually going to pull in information in Morgan County.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Tess, you know how that goes, but if it's there, it should pull it in. So like I said, you can do it here too, the Record Connect for the listing. So I'm just going to pick random dates to fill out the listing date. Information. So you would go section by section and fill in this summary page completely. Same thing, if you're the listing agent and then you get an offer, you'll have to come back into your transaction once you're ratified and fill out all of these required fields. The ones with the blue asterisks are required. But obviously you want to fill it in with as much information as possible to help your admin team out so they don't have to go back and fill it all back in for you. So you would just go section by section, you know, your commissions, a contingency, if there's a referral, you would just add yourself as the listing agent. Referral information, you add referral information, so on and so on. So you want to fill this out completely. I'm not going to go step by step because I mean, you guys get the gist of it, but you want to fill out the summary page. Same thing with the parties tab. So this is the parties that are all part of the transaction. If you filled them out with the information, they will, you want to make sure that you have everything, whether you have the buyers, sellers, it has everything over here on the left-hand side. You got the lender, the escrow company, the attorney, so on and so on. If you are whoever you're representing, that's the information you need to collect. And make sure this is filled out completely. So I'm going to go ahead and put an email address in here for seller one, just for sample purposes. Make sure you have all that filled out. So those two things, like I said, I don't know if everybody uses them or now or not, you should, because otherwise, if it's not filled out, please know that Tabitha and her team will be coming back to you to track down that information, to get all this stuff filled out.
Sherry, I do have a question.
Okay, Michael.
You use Record Connect instead of MLS Connect.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I'm pulling in just the tax information. I'm not pulling in the listing.
Okay,
I do the MLS if I'm writing a contract.
got it. Okay, gotcha.
But if it was previously listed and you use that, would it pull in the information or does it have to be on the market? Do we know that?
I do not know the answer to that.
Previously, if it's ever been in the MLS and that number's still good, you've been able to pull information from it.
Awesome.
With doing the connect. But I mean, you need to make sure that the stuff that needs to be changed gets changed. But the tax information, everything will pull through.
I feel
Awesome.
like
that
it was
might be
West
a good-
Virginia. You've got to remember West Virginia's behind on their tax records.
Right. Well, so if it was in the MLS, that might help with that a little bit. It might help pull in more information that might be not there. Guess we'll see.
Okay. Now, I don't know how often you guys have been here. If you're in here and you've been using the templates like you should, you may see a difference, because this is now what the template looks like. Instead of having just the forms everywhere, we've tried to clean it up a little bit and organize it within folders. So you got the different folders here. You got your initial listing package, supporting listing documents, addendums and amendments, and offers. So in your initial listing package, you'll find all the documents we feel that you guys use on a quote unquote regular basis for a listing agreement. If you find that there is a document in here, or I'm sorry, a document that's missing that you use every time you write a listing, please just shoot me an email and I'll get it added for you. I worked with Tabitha. Well, Tabitha really went over these quite a bit more so than I did, to make sure that we think we have all of them in there that you guys use on a regular basis. Again, if you feel something is missing that you use on a regular basis, we'll be more than happy to add it for you. Okay. So you got your listing agreement, your cover sheet, so on and so on, your addendums, the company PDF forms, everything should be in here for you. Okay.
Now, question, if they're not there, are we allowed still to go to the EPBR and get them?
Absolutely. You can still add it. If it's not,
Okay.
it's commonly used on a regular basis, we didn't add it here. If you're still, all that will still remain the same. So if you have hold on, let me move my
Well,
screen.
the one I couldn't find the other day, and I had to email Tabitha, and she just got it then from EPBR, but I was trying to find one that had our logo on it, and I couldn't find it in there. And that was the listing amendment, if you're, renewing a listing.
And you couldn't find it in the
No,
letter?
no. And then plus this had just changed and I was having trouble figuring that out because I was used to the way it was before it changed to these 5 boxes or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, you still can add form. If you need additional forms, if something's missing on here, you have a one-off form, whether it be on the listing side or the contract side, you can still add any additional forms that you need. That part doesn't change either. These are just the quote unquote everyday basic use that we feel you guys would use. Because you got your exclusive right, you got your items convey, addendums, notice of aging, so on and so on. So that's
Yeah, for listings, the seller's estimated proceed statement, there's not one of those in there.
yes, it is. It's right here.
Oh, there it is. Okay. See, I didn't see that before.
Yeah. Well, see,
Okay, that's good.
you want to make sure you're using all the old templates. After tomorrow morning, I will be turning all these old ones off. So you'll only have access to the new ones that we're training on today.
Okay.
Okay, so you got that.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different, that's like a 5-page seller estimate thing. It's not a 1-page. I remember seeing that
Yeah,
now.
that's a doozy, yeah. Yeah, that's a big one.
Let's see. So you got your supporting listing documents folder. This is you can look at this folder as like a storage folder. So that way you can keep all of your documents in one location. So you don't have some that's in ZipForms, some that you saved on your computer, some that you may have downloaded to your phone, whatever. You can use this as a depository to put all of your documents related to the transaction here. So example of like listing docs would be, like you have information on the well and septic, a plat, survey, something of that nature. So you can save all those documents within this folder. So if you want to add something to this, oh, here's another one, a referral agreement. If there's a referral agreement, you can upload that. So if you want to add a document to it, let me just stop. You can click in the folder. Like I'm going to upload a document. So you would click in the folder, click add document. You're going to locate your document wherever it may be. I'm just going to pick a random one. Oh, hey, that's a share ceiling. Locate your document, click OK. And now it's saved in your transaction. You have everything in one place. Okay. Amendments and addendums, same thing. It's once, if you have to do an extension because extending the listing, same thing. You would create it and have it come back into here. Offers, if it's your listing, same thing. The folder, you can, if you have multiple offers, you can come in here and add a folder and say offer 1 condo. 2 Jane Smith, so on and so on. Now, this is not stuff that you have to submit to the office for review. It's just that you have everything in one place where you're not searching for your items. They can be all in one place. Okay. So let's just go ahead and say we're gonna type up a new listing. Within the initial listing package folder, in the initial listing folder, you'll see there's an executed listing documents folder. So that's once you have your listing agreement fully signed and all your other documents, that's where that would go into the exclusive right to list or sell, whichever it may be called. So I'm gonna go ahead.
Executed listing documents.
So I'm going to pretend that I filled all this out. We're going to send it to the seller to get signed. So you would select all the documents that you want. Actually, let me do a couple of them so I can show you guys something. So I'm going to do a new e-signature package. So I'm going to do e-sign, new. My documents are in my initial listing package folder. I'm going to do exclusive right to sell. I'm just going to pick a couple random ones and a PDF. So this is going to be something new for you guys, the return folder option. I highly recommend that you use this because it'll automatically, once they sign the document, it'll automatically return it to the folder that you tell it to do. Right here, return folder. So since I'm going to have a fully executed listing agreement, I'm going to select that and tell it I want it to go back to my initial listing packet to my executed listing documents. I want it to go back to that folder. Okay, and hit done. So you can see it's going to return to this folder. I've had people also ask, can you rearrange the materials here? So if you want something to appear in front of the other ones, you can see the 4 arrows here. You can left click on that and just drag and drop it around. Okay. We're going to send that out. I'm going to send it to my seller. Close. So all this part, that part hasn't changed. You still send it out the same way. Now I know I put a PDF in here. So, you know, with all the library, state library forms, it automatically puts all the signature fields and initial fields on there for you. The PDFs, that's still the same too. You still have to drag and drop those fields to have them signed. So I know I put one PDF in here that I need to have signed. So I'm going to drag and drop signature and my date. And I'm going to go ahead and send it to the client for signature, and you get your confirmation. Okay. So I don't know if anybody's ever really looked at this, but I find this, I really like this tab, the history tab. It tells you every step of the way from the very beginning, from when you created the transaction, what was done, what was added, what was sent, what was created, and so on. So right from the beginning, I created this transaction, I applied the template, I updated commissions, so on. I created folders, and I sent out the signature package. I just think that's a pretty good timeline. It gives you a full overview of what all has been taken place. Let me go sign that document real quick. Okay. So you should be getting, as always, you'll get notification when your client signs the document. Oops. So that way you know that it's signed. And just a reminder, when you're sending out things for signature, please make sure Steve is the last party to sign and review the documents. Because you want to make sure that that's the case. So you send it to your clients first to have everything signed, and then make Steve the last party to sign the documents. Okay, so you should receive, I'm just refreshing my page to make sure that the DocuSign came back. So it shows that it came back, it's completed. So remember I said I went into my initial listing package and I told it to return to the executed listing documents. So it automatically filled that placeholder, the right to sell placeholder, and included all the other documents. So you don't have to upload these anywhere like you used to in the dashboard. You don't have to separate out documents. You don't have to do anything. It all comes right back into this folder. So now that you are fully executed, you have your fully executed listing agreement, and you have everything back, you're ready to submit it to the office for review. So this would be the new step for you guys, is the submission part. Since you're no longer going to submit it in the dashboard, you just do it from here. So you can select individual forms one by one, or you can select the whole folder and it automatically highlights everything for you. So since I have everything back, I want to submit it all to the office. We're now fully executed. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to hit approval. So where it needs review, it automatically select that. So we have to tell it what stage we're in. We're in the listing review stage. So you're going to apply the listing review stage. And you hit apply. And once you hit apply, you'll see here in the stamp how it's clear now. it'll turn yellow, and that's how you know all your documents have been submitted. Now, Tabitha and her team will receive an email stating XYZ agent submitted the following documents for review. Tabitha, are you already in there?
Yeah, it's buffering, but I'm getting there.
So they'll get an email notification stating that Agent A submitted the following documents for review. And then once they do that, they'll review everything, and one, either they'll approve it because you have everything, or two, if they need to reject something because somehow an initial or signature got missed, they can reject the individual document and not necessarily the whole folder. And then you would get a notification back. Let me show you an example. Let's see if it's going to change my screens. Are you seeing ZipForms or are you seeing the PDF?
Your PDFs are just still what's up.
The 4 listing documents that are in yellow now.
Okay.
And I just approved them, Sherry. They should be on
Okay.
your end now.
I'm trying to get my screen smaller. There we go. So I want to show you an example of what, there it is. Of what an email notification may look like. Now, are you guys seeing it?
Yes.
So you can see here, it comes from do not reply ZipForms. So if you reply to that email, it's just going to go to cyberspace. So this is an example of what a notification email would look like. I just did a screenshot of it just so you guys know. So you can see where I submitted all these forms, and Tabitha was so nice and approved them all because I had everything there.
You didn't approve mine like that.
So
You've been warned.
So if you reply to that email, it's going to go out in cyberspace and the girls are never going to answer you. So when you get the email, it'll tell you who sent it to you. This case, it was reviewed by Tabitha. So if it was reviewed by Grace O'Reilly, obviously their name would be there. So if you have questions about something they may have not approved, just look at who it was submitted by, and then you can reach back out to them. So that's just a sample notification of what those emails look like.
Hey, Sherry,
Yeah.
whenever you pulled up those forms, for an example, the notice of agency relationship requires our signature. Is that something we take care of in putting in who signs, or is that where's that come in?
Say that to me one more time, Tess.
Okay, there's some forms that we have to sign as agents.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were doing it, you were sending it to the seller to sign. So where do we put in for us to sign those forms that were sent out to the seller?
I personally, what steps you take, that's up to you. I personally, if there's forms that I would, as an agent, would have to sign, I would send them to myself first and sign them. Then I would send them to my client and let them sign them. And then the final person would be Steve.
So, but in that course of you setting that up, you can set yourself up to be the first one to get and go on. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and we can do an example. Let's go ahead and do that. So by this time, because Tabitha said she approved it, I would have got an email stating, hey, Sherry, as the example I just showed you, saying your documents were approved. So when you come back in here, refresh the screen, you see how now it's green? Because it was yellow for under review. Green is approved. And if it was red, that means something was not approved. Something got rejected. And then they would have notes on there that would come into that email saying, you're missing initial on page 2 or whatever the case may be. You would get that notification in an email with what it was.
Sherry, when you said have you sign first, meaning the agent sign first, but there are some documents that you shouldn't sign until the seller signs, like lead-based paint. You wouldn't want to sign that first, would you? I mean, I wouldn't. And then you'd have to sign that once the seller completes the information and signs it.
Yeah, if there's something that you feel, then, all I know is that Steve should be the last person to sign
Right.
anything. So when you create a listing or the contract, whatever it may be, Steve should be last. So yeah, it probably would make more sense for the clients to fill out everything that they need to fill out first, then come back to you as the agent so you can look over it once more before you send it to Steve to sign, and then Steve being the last person.
Okay.
Okay. So that's really all you have to do for the submission process. Instead of uploading and separating everything in the dashboard, everything's done right in here. And you literally can click the entire envelope and submit the entire envelope. Any questions, comments, feedback so far?
Sherry, back there when you had it and you were going to send it for approval, there was a different toolbar up there that showed the approval or sending for approval.
Oh, that was in our
I
back.
don't recall seeing that before. Don't remember seeing that
Well,
part.
let's do another one because Tabitha approved these, so. Oops, sorry, guys. I have to turn that off. So let's just run through another one real quick. We'll do another listing real quick and we'll put a couple in there like Tess was mentioning. So I'm gonna do a new listing. Address, client name, I'm gonna connect it. Doing residential. I'm applying my template. Oops, wrong one. Select my template. It's global seller residential. Save. So all that process is still the same. I'm going to go back in the documents real quick. So you were saying in here?
No, you had them all there and there was up across the top there where it has summary, parties, docs, checklist, notes. There was another one there that said to click on for approval.
Once you load them up, your executed documents she's talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go back to there. Okay, so I have my initial package created. My summary, remember you're filling out everything on the summary page. Not under contract. So let's just, for training's sake, to move things along, I'm just going to go ahead and, so we got seller one, pretend it's me. All in here. Tabitha, I'm going to add you as a seller so we can do a
DocuSign.
yeah.
Okay.
We can look and confirm with what Tess was saying more than one person. You can change them around. I got all my parties filled out. Now I'm going to go. Pretend I've filled out my listing agreement. It's all ready to go. So we're going to do a new e-sign package. Go into my initial listing package, pick all my documents, and I'm just going to pick two just for some. And I'm going to choose my return folder because I want to go back to the executed listing documents. That's in your initial listing package, executed listing document.
I get lost.
Done. Hit next. And I'm going to send it to seller one, seller two, close. So this is, see here, Tess, here's your signing order. There's two sellers. So let's say I want Tabitha to sign it first. So you can just click the arrows, the up and down arrows. I want to make her number one. Everybody see that? How you can change your signing order?
Mhm.
So at that point, we just add ourselves in there if we're going to sign something?
Yeah, you can add signers right there. Yep. So you can add signers from here, you can delete them, so on and so on, but this is how you change your signing order. Or if you want them to go both at the same time, like here, it doesn't matter who signs is going to go out at the same time. These both are set to one. So both Tabitha and I will receive it at the same time.
Okay, but the reason why both of those are there is because you had them typed in. We're not going to be typed in, but we'll be able to add ourselves by clicking add signers there, just like in regular DocuSign.
Mhm.
Okay.
You can also add yourself to the.
You can add yourself as the parties tab.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, just for training purposes, like I was, trying to keep it shortened, but you have all those seller, buyer, listing agent, selling agent. So you can be here if you if you fill out the party side completely,
Okay.
because we're on the sell side. And has Steve, because I'm in Steve's account, he's the listing.
Right, okay.
He was
Right.
already populated.
I know
because
where that is
I was
now,
in there,
okay.
yeah. Okay. So we're gonna do that again. Initial listing package. I'm just gonna do exclusive right to represent. So gonna return folder to my executed listing documents. Next. So I'm gonna send it to seller 1, seller 2. And I can send it to Steve, but I don't want to send it to Steve because I don't know how fast it would get checked. So I don't want to delay the process, but yeah, you as the listing agent, you could check yourself off too, and then you would show in this list, but I'm just not choosing Steve just so for training purposes. And then, like I said, you can change the order or you can set them both to one where we both get it at the same time. If you forgot somebody, you click add signers and you can either choose from your contacts that are in here, or you can click here, create new and add that person. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and send that. I'm gonna send it to both Tabitha and myself. And wait for it. I think I just did the exclusive right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and hit send. And it has been sent. And remember now, if you go back to your history, it shows you all of that stuff from the very time that I created the folder, the transaction, what we did. And then you can check on the status of it, that it was sent, who it was sent to, what was sent, where it's coming back to. I like that history tab. I just think it's pretty neat. All right. So we're signing the document. Did you get it, Tabitha?
Not yet, no.
I just got it. Maybe
Did you spell my name right?
as I say, did I spell your name wrong? Well, it'll tell me that in my history tab. When people say, hey, I didn't get it, you can go back and say, oh, well, I sent it at this time. Let's see. Tabitha. No, I left off the A. You didn't get it. That's why you didn't get it.
Been there, done that.
Oops. I just recalled it, Tabitha, just so we're not waiting. So we're gonna pretend that it got signed and everything's right. So you can see that I sent it, and then the documents were signed and returned and completed and stored in the transaction. So if you go back into your documents tab and you go into your exclusive listing or executed listing documents, You can see that it automatically filled that placeholder with the required listing agreement. So that's all I have for this listing. So I just need to create this or submit this one document to the office because I have no supporting documents. So I'm going to hit, you can either check box it to select it, or you can hit the little stamp down here in the corner. Is this where you guys were talking about who was asking about the different
I
options?
was, you'd lost me there before, so I didn't see this.
So it'll automatically come up to needs review. And we're applying the review stage because we have different stages. We have the listing stage, which is where we're at. And then down the line, you'll have contract review stage when you're ratified. And then you'll have closing review stage once you go to closing and you have your ALTA or HUD or whatever submitted. And then you have release of contract review stage. So what these stages do is trigger things in the background that'll automatically apply, you know, the buyer will automatically apply a template or automatically do things in the background for you that you don't, that is really for the admins that are in the background. So I'm in listing review stage. So I'm going to apply that because I have my listing agreement executed. So I'm going to apply that. Now it's going to submit to the admins for review. And I know that because it is now yellow. So I know I submitted it. So the admin team will get notification. Hey, you have something that needs to be reviewed. And then they'll get it and review it and go from there. And then once they review it and whether it's approved or it didn't get approved for some reason, you'll get an email notification notifying you what took place. Tabitha, I'm just going to refresh my page because she's probably.
Yeah, I'm buffering. Hold on a second.
Okay. So while I'm waiting for the admins to review it, and do you guys have any questions so far? I mean, as far as you writing your listings and contracts and all that stuff, all that remains the same. The only thing, the big change is that you're now submitting your documents through ZipForms and not the dashboard.
So a question, couple of them. Okay, if I write a contract, I've got people standing here in front of me that want to sign it. So I'm going to print the contract out, have them sign folder.
You cut out, Rick, but we're going to do a contract next. So yeah, we'll go over that. If you print out copy, you'll just scan it and upload it into the folder and submit it that way. And we'll go.
If they sign here at the office. Okay. Yep. And then the other question I have is I've always used Authentisign. Is that still a possibility with this?
Yeah, you can still use Authentisign. Here in the e-sign, you have your choice for now. Anyway. When you're doing a new e-sign, I'm just going to pick a document real quick. Okay. Here, your signing service, you still have digital ink, which is also Authentisign.
Oh,
so
okay.
you can use that in there.
So then that would give me all my contacts and everything.
Yep.
That are still there. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
See, I never used the DocuSign in here. I always printed them, you know, scanned them and did it separately.
Why?
But now it can all be done right here. I just hadn't had, I didn't know how, so I didn't do it this way.
Okay. Well, if anybody hasn't done that, get with Michael and he can sit down and go over it with you because it's such a time taking right here from ZipForms because it automatically puts all your initials, all of your signature, it all puts all those spots on there for you. You don't have to do the.
You don't have to go through all that, which makes it so much quicker.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, just remember, it only does that on the state forms. Now, if there are any company documents, which are the PDFs, you will still have to drag and drop those spots on there for them.
Okay.
There's not too
like
many.
the disclosures.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
It should be approved now, Sherry.
Okay, so I got an email from Tabitha saying that she approved my listing package. So now that she did that, because remember how I said those review stages do things in the background? So since I approved my listing, now you see there's several more folders in here. It automatically applied the buyer side or the buyer template. So now all of those folders are in here and all of your documents are in here. So the buyer agency package, if you go into that folder, that has everything in there, the exclusive right to represent, the contract, so on and so on. So it
So
automatically.
you're ready for a contract when it comes then, or when you write
Yes.
one? Okay.
Or if you write one, correct. So it has everything here in the same transaction. Now, in Rick's example, and I know quite a few people deal with clients that don't do electronic signature and things of that nature. So if you have the same thing with the listing agreement, same process, if you have one that you printed off and they have wet signatures, so now you're fully ratified and you need to submit it to the office, you would just go to your ratified sales contract folder. And there's a placeholder here. So you have your exclusive right to represent, and then you have your sales contract. Now, we know with the sales contract, it's not sometimes just the sales contract. You may have the financing contingencies, inspections, all that. You don't have to separate that out. You can have 30, 40 some pages, whatever it may be, and upload that entire document into the sales contract folder. You don't have to separate all those pages out anymore. Everything can be uploaded right into there, into that sales contract folder. And to do that, you can just click on the placeholder. And I have it saved on my desktop. So I'm going to browse for my document, find my document, select it, click OK. And it filled that required placeholder. My exclusive right to represent the buyer. I'm going to go ahead and fill that too.
But how did they get there?
I'm pulling, so that I was, as in Rick's example, he has people in the office and they're not electronically signing. He printed off everything and had them sign it with a wet signature there in the office. So now that he has everything signed, he went and scanned it to himself, saved it to his computer, which I just did.
Okay.
And I have it saved on my computer. So I browsed for the document that was saved on my computer, found it, and then opened it and uploaded it to here.
Okay.
So there's only two ways these documents are going to come back. One, you either scan them to yourself, save them in your computer, and you upload them, manually upload them yourself, or the electronic signature way where you send it out electronically, and then of course they come back automatically to where you direct it to come back. Okay.
Yeah. I think.
Same submission process. Okay, I'm going, for training's sake, we're saying I'm fully ratified. I have my full sales contract package and I have my right to represent. So I need to submit those to the office for review. So I selected those two documents. I can either hit the stamp here, submit for review, or you have the approval button up here. Both do the same thing.
Okay, there. Now, how did you get that to come up right there? How did you get, by clicking on these, that
You have
made
to
it
select
come
the
up?
document. Yeah, you have to select
Okay,
the documents before that will show.
Okay. That's what came up before that I didn't see where it came
Yeah.
from or how you got it there.
Oops, I just opened a document. Yeah. It won't show unless you're having a document selected.
Okay.
So I'm ready to submit my right to represent and my sales contract to the office. So I've selected those two. Click approval, needs review, contract review stage, and you hit apply. And you know it was submitted, one, because your little stamp down here will turn yellow. Or if you go to your history, it tells you the full history of what took place in the transaction. From the very beginning, I created it, apply the templates, so on and so on. Okay. So now that they have that for review, let me just go over these folders real quick, why the documents are being reviewed. So we went over the initial listing folder, buyer agency package, that has all of your exclusive right to represent, the contract, the addendums, so on, okay? So that's what's in there. Buyer supporting documents, same thing. This is more of a, a depository for you to keep. So that way you keep all your documents in one location. They're not saved in DocuSign. They're not saved in ZipForms. They're not saved on your desktop, so on and so on. You can have everything in one spot. So like home inspection or any type inspection reports, you can upload and save here. Same thing with the buyers, amendments and addendums. If you need to do an extension for closing, you would upload it in here. Offers, if this is your listing, you don't need to submit these. You only submit your ratified ones. But if you got multiple offers, which you guys I'm sure are dealing with on a regular basis, just so you have them saved, and you can save them in here. Settlement documents folder, the ratified contract cells, that's where we were just at. I just showed that before we clicked over here. Settlement documents is where you would upload a copy of the ALTA or the HUD, your commission check, and your final walkthrough. And if there are any other documents that were included in closing, again, just the storage. But these are required. Okay. Release of sales contract and deposit. Again, this is just a placeholder for that. If you were under contract on your listing unfortunately it fell through, this is where you would upload an executed copy of the release and then submit it to the office. The little stamp doesn't show there because I don't have a document in there. It only shows once you fill it with a document. So you click on the placeholder. I save the release on my computer. So I'm going to go search for it. I'm going to pick my document, click OK. And then once the document is there, then that's when the stamp comes up for you to be able to submit for approval. But I'm not going to submit that yet because I don't want to throw our process off with Tabitha approving my documents.
They should be, yeah, they're approved.
Okay. So you would have got an email notification saying that whoever reviewed your documents and it's now approved. Okay. So you are done there. Now let's say you need to write an extension, or I'm sorry, you need to get an extension for closing. So I'm going to find an addendum. And I'm just going to randomly pick. I'm going to send that. I'm going to pretend, I'm not going to send it to everybody, but let's just for sake, we're just going to pretend that it is. So I'm sending a sales contract addendum. I'm using DocuSign. This is where you would change if you prefer to use AthenaSign. Return folder. Remember I said we had that release folder. So and it's not the end of the world if you forget to select the return folder, because you can move documents around. So I'm not going to return a folder so I can show you guys an example of how to move them around. So I'm just going to forget about that. And then, hold on, I got to move my screen around. Let me go ahead and send this. Being a little slow today, isn't it?
Very.
Okay. So it put everything there for me and click send. So like I said, it's not earth shattering if you forget to select the return folder, because you can still move the documents around. So I'm going to show you that what it looks like so you see where it comes back. So I'm going to sign that document real quick. Okay, now I'm gonna refresh it and give it a second to bring back in. Sorry guys, it's being a little slow. Okay, so remember how I said I didn't select the folder to tell it where to return to? So it automatically came back to the main folder. You see right here, the sales contract addendum. Because I didn't tell the return folder, which is no problem. You can still move it. So you can go within there. And I want to select my sales contract addendum. Click on the drop down arrow. And then I want to move it to fill my required placeholder in the appropriate field, because I want to go into the release and sales contract. Select that folder and click move. So now when you go back to your folders tab, your main folders, I went to my release and now it's here. So you still can move documents around. It's not earth shattering. It's not going to hurt anything. You can still move documents within there if you forget to do that. Okay. Any questions so far on the sales contract portion? The main change I would believe for you guys is really just the submission process. How you're writing the documents, sending them out, all of that stuff should remain the same. You're doing everything in ZipForms. It's just the submission process. And I know it does look a little different since we created the folders, but again, we were trying to keep it more organized instead of just having the documents all over the place on the main screen. Okay. So now we've gone to closing and I've got the commission check and the aughts and all that. So I'm ready to turn it in so I can get paid. Now, and we know sometimes you guys pick things up at the attorney's office and whatnot. All that process is still the same. You would do what you normally do, but you would need to come in here to your settlement documents and upload a copy of all these 3 required documents. If it's mailed to the offices, just like the admins do now, the admins will go ahead and take care and upload that. So I'm going to upload a copy. I'm just picking random stuff again. So I've got my Alta. Walkthrough. And a copy of my commission check.
So there's boxes for those
Mhm.
that you clicked on,
Yeah.
or you added them from yours, from your
No,
document?
these were placeholders that were there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I scanned a copy of everything to myself and I had it saved on my computer. Then I come in here and clicked on the placeholder and I browsed for my document to find it off of my computer where I just downloaded it.
Right.
And pulled it from there.
Okay.
So now that I have all 3 of these uploaded, I'm going to select all 3 of them. And so I can send it to the admin team for review. So now we're in the closing review stage. So you apply your closing review stage, hit apply. Now the admins will get notification that these documents have been submitted and ready for review. And this is where they'll do a full review of everything to make sure nothing's missing along with these documents, because this is obviously the final stage. Man, this is being really slow today.
Sherry,
Did I not click on all of them?
Sherry.
I'm here.
So the placeholder is merely a blank document. It's all pre-named where you go and eventually place the document in the placeholder. Is that right?
That's right, Kelly.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Tabitha, I must not have hit the button. Try again. Why is it doing that? Because I didn't select the whole folder. You might get a couple different emails. Sorry, Tabitha. That was my fault.
It's okay.
Okay. So now I've submitted my commission check and everything. So they're doing the final review. So once they do that, you'll get an email notification. And I believe, let me share. So once the admins have reviewed it, this is another example of what the emails look like. Closing package approved, or if for some reason it was rejected, it would say not approved. I think that's what it says, isn't it, Tabitha? Not approved.
Not approved, correct.
Yeah. So this tells you the status, and if they had any notes for whatever the reason was, it would be here as well. So once that is done, if closing package is approved, let me go back to my ZipForms.
It should be approved now.
Okay. You'll get notification of that. So from that point, then that's when the final quality control, that's when you know that it's in quality control, when you get notification that your closing package had been approved. And then the admins for this point, see this folder here, QC final closing package. Once this is green, that's when you know the final quality control has been completed, and that's when it's been submitted to accounting for pay. Not when the settlement documents, let me refresh it. Boy, oh boy, it is just being real slow today. Okay. So that's when you see the QC final closing package, you'll get an email when that's complete, just like with any other notification. This will be green. That's when you know it's been submitted to accounting for payment. Just because your settlement documents may be green doesn't mean that it's been submitted to accounting yet. That just means, yep, you've submitted everything that's required and everything looks good. They have approved those. The QC final closing package is the trigger for you when to know when you get that email notification that everything has been reviewed and they have approved everything, and now it has been sent to accounting for payment. Okay. Thoughts, questions, concerns? Want me to go back over something?
You want to address double-sided deals, Sherry?
I'm gonna let you do that because you're really good at it.
You're so funny. Just keep in mind, if we have double-sided office transactions where, for instance, Tess has the seller and Rick would have the buyer, it's up to the buyer's agent to submit the contract, because we don't want double transactions being submitted. So anytime you have double-sided within the office, it's always the buyer's agent who will submit the contract, not the seller's agent. That's not to say that the seller's agent won't have the documents in their files, but just don't submit them to admin for review.
Does it make sense to everybody?
Say that last thing, Tabitha, about not submitting what?
Just if you have a double-sided transaction and you're the listing agent, you will still have your documents in your ZipForms, but as the listing agent, just don't submit them. You can keep them in your repository, just don't submit them, because the buyer's agent will take care of that.
Okay. So how's everybody feel about this process? Do you want me to run through another example? You guys have questions? Where are you at?
I don't see any questions in chat, just so you know.
Thank you, Stacy.
So Sherry, I have a quick, on the, as you've got your contracts all filled out, it's at the final stage, you're getting ready to send it to the buyer for them to sign off, and you're reviewing, this is where, at the part where you have to add their signature manually for the disclosures. The contract, all the addendums are auto-populated with their initials and with their signatures for them to click on, but the disclosures are not, right?
The PDF forms?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, which
Yes.
disclosures are on PDF forms, right?
Yes.
So what bit me once because I guess I should have been flipping through all the contracts as well to make sure that they're auto-populated. On the clauses or contingency and clauses addendums for West Virginia, when you have to, it automatically populates the initials at the bottom of each page and the signature as well, but it does not auto-populate on the left-hand column where they have to initial, for instance, next to what type of inspection they're getting. Are they getting an inspection for information purposes only, or are they getting where they can negotiate or whatever? So those do not it does not populate on the left-hand side.
On the lead-based paint.
Yeah, so I had to go resubmit it to them because it came back to me without those initials on there. But other than that, and now that I'm aware of that, it's not a problem because I just treat it like a PDF. But other than that, this is like 10 times better than what we were doing before.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that makes us feel really good, right, Tabitha?
Absolutely.
For as much time we spend in the background. But you brought up a good point there, Tim. We have, I think it was last week, wasn't it, Michael, where we discovered Authentisign, on the other hand, puts a box on every checkbox or every box on the paint we ran into, where you have to go and remove the ones what they don't want, just so that you're aware of that. Thank you for bringing that up, Tim, because I forgot about that.
Sherry, maybe if you choose Authentisign while you're in ZipForms, but otherwise Authentisign does not autofill boxes. If you just go straight, I have Authentisign through MRIS or Bright MLS, and I have to, when I use that, you have to do it. It doesn't auto-populate anything. So I don't know what in through here. I've never used Authentisign in the drop-down box here.
I think it was last week we did one, wasn't it, Tabitha, where we did it through ZipForms, and it did put a box on every one of those. So you had to move the ones that you want. So it may not do it when you log in directly through Authentisign, but it did it through ZipForms.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm
On
glad Tim brought that up.
DocuSign with the inspections forms, it will auto-populate initials in each one of the inspections. And
and you do have to review some of those to remove.
So you just go and remove the ones that don't apply to the contract.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's easy to do?
Yeah,
you just drag it over to the left.
Okay.
Or you just click on the box and it'll hit remove.
Okay.
You know, one or the other.
Okay.
Like, or you can remove the box and hit delete or remove. I forget what it says.
Okay.
Tabitha, I feel like I'm forgetting something.
I don't think so.
So I am
just not getting as many questions.
No, not as many questions. No, there is, just so you're aware, and whether you're representing the buyer or the seller, let me share my screen.
Oh, the reference document.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Steve came up with this form. Instead of having all these different individual PDFs, he consolidated it to one form. So that way we're still supplying the clients with the information. It is and then
I see what you mean.
Onto to them to see, you know, here we supplied you in the information. Now, whether or not you went and read about it, that's, you know, up to you, but we did our part and supplied it. So you have fair housing, the lead.
Cut out, stopped, something.
Can't hear you, Sherry.
She's froze.
He's doing the movie Frozen.
But you can go on over and I can tell her I'll be there. Let me unmute myself or mute myself.
And what she was trying to tell y'all about was a new reference doc that Steve has. Of course, I lost her screen, and it covers a lot of the disclosures for like lead-based paint, wire fraud. I can't think of what they all are off the top of my head. It's a required document now that you have to have your client sign. Whether you have the buyer or the seller, we're going to make sure that you have that in your listing packages as well as your sales contract packages. For lead-based paint, it does not replace the actual lead-based paint disclosure. It just replaces that lead-based paint pamphlet that's like 10 to 15 pages long.
Yeah, it was just a way for us to consolidate so you guys wouldn't have to keep saying, here's this form and here's this form and here's this other thing. And just there, if you're interested in looking for this information, you can click on these links and find it for yourself. So it's just a nice boiled down way that your clients can look for the disclosures and things.
And it
Now
is,
just-
it's included in the global template packages. So it's not something you have to look for. It's going to be in there for you already.
Yep.
Sorry, guys.
And I'll just, we kind of touched on this a little bit, just to reiterate. So essentially, if there's ever questions about contracts or, forms and things like that, I would say Tabitha and her team kind of have the final word on that. The managers, you can go to the managers with questions, but it's essentially the admin team that will have kind of that final say on this form is not accepted or whatever. So just be aware. And of course, we know Tabitha has her days. No, I'm kidding. But essentially, we've kind of given her the reins and said, it's your show, so don't give her too hard a time.
Yes, because at the end of the day, I am taking direction from Steve.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, directly. I'm sorry, guys, I got kicked out again for whatever reason. So did you guys hear me about the form? Did everybody see that form?
Tabitha finished it up.
Okay, thank you, Tabitha.
Yep.
I'm going to share one more thing, which I will send these couple reference sheets out when we're done for everybody, as well as a condensed version, training version. Instead of the 2 hours, I think we have it down to like 30 minutes, Tabitha. I will share that with you guys as well when we're done today. You see my PDF?
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm going to send this document out as well. It has the support number. And I don't know, Tabitha, did you guys just talk about this while I was trying to get back in?
No.
No, we didn't talk about that one.
Okay. So as much as we'd like to help you and fix all the problems, unfortunately, when it comes to the majority of the things, when something is not working, example, like Mercedes was talking earlier, where she couldn't get the DocuSign to go through ZipForms or something for that nature. You need to make ZipForms directly aware of it, because unfortunately, those are things that myself, Steve, the managers, the admins, we can't fix it. That's a software problem. So things like that are not working, you really do need to take the time out to either one, or call them, or two, report it on the online help section. Because if they're not aware of it, they can't fix it. And you may be encountering that problem, it could be once a week, once a month. But if it keeps happening, obviously there's a glitch in the system somewhere. So if you don't tell them, it's never going to be addressed, and you're going to keep encountering whatever the issue is. So make sure that when you do encounter things like that, that you do reach out to them and report it. I know you guys are busy, and it does take some time to, get on the phone and call them and of that nature, but it can't be corrected if you don't report it.
I would also point out that just because it's a company level account, like we can't do things that are specific to your login. So there's some things that we just literally can't do anyway. So if you're having a problem with your account, things like that, it's not like Sherry can call them up and fix it for you.
No,
because we still have individual accounts. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, it's still your account sign in, that you're signing in under your account. So yeah, Tabitha can't call because on behalf of Tess or anybody else, because the account is registered to Tess. So they're not going to talk to her about it. And most of the time they're going to want to talk to you anyway, because they want to go step by step and go over what issues you may be experiencing so they can recreate it to try to fix the problem. Okay. So there, like I said, I'm gonna send this out after, when we finish up here today. Formatting your transaction. We would prefer that you label your transaction, the property address, and then the client name, last name, first name. It's just trying to keep everything uniform for when the admins are looking at it. You want to make sure you turn on your notifications, because you don't want to miss any email notifications that may be that could possibly hold you up for, like if it's a closing, if you're missing something, you don't have your notifications turned on to make sure you're receiving all of the emails and notifications. You might have missed out that Tabitha said, hey, you missed this and I can't pay you till you have this. And then you're calling screaming at Michael because you haven't been paid in 3 days. Well, you want to make sure you have your notifications turned on so you're not missing anything. So that tells you where to go. It's real simple. You go under your profile and settings tab, notifications tab, and then switch your notifications to on, and you can tailor them in there. If you want to link your Google contacts, you can do that as well. And that'll tell you here, go to your contacts, go to import step by step, and you would just follow the on-screen instructions. Should be real simple for you. This is not a free service. I don't know. You can link your Google Calendar, because on the dashboard, and I say that, let me get back, share my screen again. If you're on your ZipForms dashboard, and everybody's may not look the same as mine, because one, I'm in Steve's account, so he's going to have the Burgage level, and you can set it up how you choose to set up your dashboard. I may have to log into Tiffany's. There is, yeah, his looks different. Hold on, let me log into Tiffany's. Because there is a calendar. So there's a calendar on your page. So you can connect this calendar to your Google Calendar if you so choose. Again, like I said, it's not a free service. I think it was like $1.49 or something a month. Now, with that being said, that's one thing we didn't touch base on that I forgot. You will receive notifications about tasks that are due, or just friendly reminders to say, hey, you need to do this, or hey, it's time, you're 90 days into your listing, maybe you need to reach out and to get an extension. So let me go back in here. Because you will have to mark these tasks as either complete or not applicable or done. Let's see, checklist. So this was a listing. Well, it's going to have everything on here because we went to under contract too. These are just really to serve you as reminders to, hey, don't forget, you should do these things. So you would come in here. So you got, I already did these, so I just marked these as completed. Go on, so on, so on. So this is all the different reminders that you may receive. Where's the listing? So listing. If there were some more supporting documents, and it gives you little notes over here. Obtain the following documents if they apply, CC&Rs, well, septic deed, plat, blah, 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 blah. So either it applies or you don't. So you would just click not applicable or completed if you've uploaded your documents. Photography, it's a new listing. Oops, sorry, I clicked on the button. Photography, same thing. Notify your admin if you've scheduled the photographer. If not, advise the admin who you'd like to schedule. And then these are seller touches. Just to, make sure you're, staying in contact with your clients, listing extension. Hey, we're 90 days in. You should probably talk to your seller about getting an extension. Listing expired, send you a reminder. Did you pick up your sign and lockbox? Things of that nature. So Steve designed this list just so that you're staying in contact with your clients and they don't feel like you forgot about them. So you will get email notifications about these tasks being due. So you would just come into your transaction, and it's right here beside the documents tab. you have your checklist tab. And you would literally just come in here and whatever one's due at the time, you would just select it and say, no, it doesn't apply, it's not applicable, or you completed it and done. And that's it.
And this is effective as of today.
Anything new you do, yeah, after the training today, everything should be done within.
So, yeah, so the ones that are already in there that might not have every little thing done on them. Are we going to get notifications on those?
Tabitha, have they been getting them on the old ones?
I got one last week. And I don't know what to do with it because I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, I actually talked to Tiffany this morning, and the Miller team was getting some task notifications on ones that have already closed that were never really submitted through ZipForms. So I think once they're turned on, it's triggering it for all of them.
It's triggering it for all of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, on the older ones, if you got it, Victoria, on your old ones, just go ahead and either just mark it as not applicable or complete it, whatever it may be. Michael, can you awake?
Hey, it doesn't matter what time of day it is. I'm always yawning.
Hey, Sherry, I think we did miss something.
Okay.
It's an important step. We didn't tell them about the 3 fields they have to fill in when they submit their contract.
On the summary, yeah.
Yeah, we forgot that.
Yeah, once you do go under contract, yeah, you come back in. So if it's your listing your listing or not, if it's your listing, you would come back in here, you make sure you fill out on the summary page. Like I said, the blue asterisks are required fields. You have to fill that in. But if you have all these other information, as long as you have it, fill it out.
Okay.
So they are required fields. So like I said, everything on this summary page, you should just go section by section and fill out completely. Obviously, if it's a listing, you're not going to have the purchase stuff yet, but once you go under contract, you need to come back into your transaction and fill out that information. So. Anything else, guys? There wasn't a whole lot of questions today. Michael, are they going to bombard you afterwards?
Well, it's going to be a learning curve for everybody, I believe. So,
well, so you guys, I mean, we've rolled this out to all the other offices. We did have some, I don't think anything major, but there were some little bugs along the way. But again, with doing anything new, we don't discover those bugs until you guys are actually using it every day. Because Tabitha and I are in the background, setting this stuff. Like I'm working from the agent side, setting up the templates and doing everything of those natures. Tabitha's looking on the other side where everything's being submitted. We need you guys there in the middle to work through everything. I mean, we did do testing and I think overall we had the majority of them worked out before we started turning it on to everybody. So there still may be kinks along the way. We're all still learning this together. So just be patient with everybody.
Sherry?
Kelly?
I do have a quick question. I missed a lot because I was in an appointment, so I'll come back and review. But when transaction has been created, does it show us which documents are must and which are optional, which ones we have to have? So it's just like before, we select what we think we need. And then
just like before.
Okay.
But don't you have that list at the bottom when?
Yeah, there is and it doesn't everything. It's just basic file requirements. I think Tabitha put together that is also in. Let me go back in here.
But ultimately, just remember too, if it's part of your sales contract, I would think you would want to include it. Just because we're saying it's not a required doc doesn't mean you shouldn't keep it with the file. It really is a matter of discretion, but if it's part of your actual contract, you should want to upload anything that's involved in the transaction.
Well, do you have, like, is one of the files like miscellaneous? I saw the other ones for like contingencies, financing, contract, listing. I saw all that, but do you have something that's like a miscellaneous file that you just drop things in there?
Yeah, that would go into your supporting documents folder.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just have
obviously I missed
miscellaneous
that
stuff that's not, yeah.
So
Okay,
where's that
thanks.
list you just had up there on the screen?
It's a PDF. It's in every
Okay,
template. It's in here. It's called Basic File Requirements.
okay.
With the required disclosure that Tabitha went over, like, that's in every template as well. Just like your ABA and your home warranties, it's in every template, whether it's listing or buyer side.
Carrie, can you also, or Tabitha, remind them that if you've created the listing, but you haven't hit that little pin, the other folders, you can't see them until you've actually submitted.
So I believe what Stacy is saying, when you create, yes, if you're doing a listing, you're not gonna see all these buyer packages or buyer folders until you submit your initial listing package and it's approved. It doesn't auto apply all the buyer side stuff until your initial listing has been approved. And then once that's approved, then it will automatically apply the buyer agency, the buyer supporting doc, it's all of those additional folders. Now, I know we've also had questions about, I write my listing today, but I'm not meeting with my clients until, 3 days from now. I mean, that's fine. That part doesn't change either. Your documents stay in here. And then once you get them completed, then you would just put them either, if you're meeting them in person, you would scan it and upload it to ZipForms and then submit for review, or your electronic signature, just because I know some people like to have everything ready in advance when they go out for a listing appointment. You can still do all that process doesn't change. Is there anything else I'm forgetting, Tabitha?
I don't think so. I was just looking at my notes, but I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, we covered the, and like I said, I'll send out a copy of these, sample copy of the email, the ZipForms reference sheet that has the support number and all that stuff on it, as well as the, like I said, I created a version, whoops. It's about a half an hour, a shortened down version of this training that walks you through step by step as well. So you don't have to spend 2 hours watching this all over again. You guys were pretty quiet. I don't know if that's a good thing or we should be concerned.
With this,
When will the tutorial be out?
I'll send it out as soon as we're done this call, Kelly. I'm going to send it out to everybody. It'll come to you via, it's going to be in Drive. So you'll get notification that I shared it with you in Drive. And I think I already sent it to you, Diane. Yeah. So you'll get notification as soon as give me like 5 minutes after we're done this training, and then you'll have access to that. Stephen, are you all right? You've been sitting down this whole time. That's unusual.
Sitting down kind of day.
Well, guys, I hope you really like this new process better. I mean, overall, I thought it was pretty awesome. You don't have to separate out the documents, go to 3 different systems or however many. Everything can be centralized and done in one location. I thought it was going to be awesome for everybody, and I hope you guys feel the same way. And I know with anything new, it's just getting used to doing it. But as far as you guys writing your listings and contracts, all that stuff is the same. We're not changing. I mean, none of that process has changed. Just now all your documents are being submitted through ZipForms. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm not going to keep you on here and tie you up. Any questions or you need additional training, reach out to your manager and they can schedule a time to get with you one-on-one. As always, myself and Tabitha and her team are here to help you any way we can. But yeah, if you feel like you need additional training, please make sure you let your managers know and they'll work on getting that scheduled for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
All right.
everybody. Have a
Thanks,
great
Sherry.
day.
Thanks, everybody, for taking time out of your day to jump on here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Y'all later.
Bye.